First Things, episode number 16.
I seem to be lost.
And so you're working around the clock so you don't take time for yourself to feel like an actual human being.
I used to feel like no matter how hard I worked, I was just spinning my wheels.
Try to be perfect and try to have everything in place at one point in time, and you can't.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to First Things, the podcast dedicated to practical productivity based on modern research. My name is Brandon Vaughn, and my goal is to help you apply productive solutions to your life to help you live with less stress, greater passion, and amazing results. Today, we are talking about seeing your life as a journey. You know, I was thinking about this the other week. I hear a lot of people say that phrase, your life is a journey. Almost every week, I hear people bring that in reference to everything. I was hearing that quite a bit last week in reference to things I never thought I would have actually heard that before, about your life being a journey. I hear people talk about living life as a journey, but honestly, I'm not sure if I've ever heard anyone actually teach on what this means. So that is what we're talking about today. What does it mean that your life is a journey? And how can you begin seeing your life as a journey? What action steps can you put into place to help you see your life that way? Now, I have found this to be a very liberating way of looking at life. You see, at least I speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure it's applicable to everyone listening to me. We normally look at life as a series of crises. You know, something happens, and then life is a flurry of activity. And then there's this lull, and nothing happens. And then there's another crisis, and something happens. And then it dies down again. And then there's another crisis, and something happens. And sometimes we can view life as basically a series of interruptions. I was just getting on to what I wanted to do, and then there was this interruption. And so it's like a hiccup in life. And we basically hiccup our way through life. This happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. And so often we wonder what on earth is happening. It's just one series of nonsensical crises, one after another, that all seem to get in the way of what I'm really trying to do. Nothing makes sense. Sometimes we feel in those crises abandoned, and we do, I know we wouldn't often admit it, but we do. And we feel like life has let us down. People have let us down. Life is like a roller coaster. It's up and it's down, and we talk about the up, and then we are up again and down, and then we talk about the up, and we look at life as this series of crises. At least, as I say, I've been guilty of that. And I say guilty simply because I don't believe that's how we're meant to live. I don't believe that's the most productive way of viewing our lives. So in all the roads of your life, and all the pathways you find yourself walking on, this is the meaning. Not crises, but journeys. And when I saw that, it was the most liberating experience to be able to revamp my understanding of life. It's not a series of interruptions. It's journeys. And if I can understand my journey and what is going on and why I'm on that journey, then I can enter into a peace and a flow in life that I again say is liberating. And so now, everyone listening to the sound of my voice have journeys. You have the journey that brought you to this earth. That started long before you were aware of it. And we have journeys that end and begin, and you'll remember it, you'll talk about it, but it's over. Another journey has started. And where you find yourself right now, that is your journey. You might wish you were on a journey of 100 years ago, but you're not. You are on the journey of now, in this now moment. I mean, let's take a look at your life. Do you remember your journey as a child? Your journey through kindergarten, the first day of school? These were journeys, right? I mean, if you remember it. And sometimes I have a hard time remembering that far back now. But kindergarten was a journey. And graduation was basically saying goodbye and hello to a new journey. Then, you had your teenage journey, the chaotic years, the hormone crazy years. That journey, thank goodness that one's over. You're through it. And then there's days of your single journey. And if you are married or with someone, then your days as a married journey. Better believe one was over and a new one had begun. And then your journey as a parent. And that went on for quite a while. And then there are some of you mothers maybe who wished it would have never ended, and you suffer from empty nest because the journey is over and you want to start all over again and fill the house full of babies again. But then begins another journey of grandparents. You know what I'm basically trying to say here? It's about journeys. Your life is all about journeys, and also journeys within sight of journeys. So there's the big journey of your life and your destiny and your passion. But within that big journey, there are all these little journeys that begin and end. And when one ends, a new one begins. It's very much, again, like seeing your life as a book where one chapter ends and the next one begins. And the whole purpose of your life as a book is not that this chapter will never end. It does. It will end. The question is, will you continue to read? Will you go into the next chapter? Maybe you are a newcomer to town. You've lived where you have for years, and maybe you have a new job, and you're suddenly uprooted. A new town, a new job, new neighbors, a new everything, a new journey. And you go back to where you once lived after months or years, but it's different. You don't belong there anymore. And your old friends, they may smile at you, but you haven't been around, and a lot of water's gone under the bridge. New journeys, new journeys. Friendships, we can talk about that for quite some time. I mean, those can be very seasonal for some. Not all of them, but some of them for a season. And it isn't that there's some argument, there's nothing ugly, it just ends. People come into your life and people go out of your life. There were journeys when you fell in step with other people, journeys that ended suddenly, and you parted ways with them, and you maybe aren't as close of friends as you once were, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of the way that life is. A matter of that you come in step with certain people for periods of time, and they were on your journey, and they added to your journey, and maybe you added to their journey, but now your journeys have parted into separate ways. Some journeys end suddenly, unexpectedly. This morning you are on one journey, and tonight you're on a completely different journey. A death may snatch a loved one, and you find yourself on a new journey of being a widow or widower, and you weren't expecting it. It came out of nowhere, and it's a new journey. You went to work this morning as if you would work there for the rest of your life, and at the end of the day, you've been fired, you've been laid off, and a whole new journey begins suddenly. At other times, it could be very slow coming, but you know it's coming. There's a restlessness that you have, where once you were very content, it's now very restless for you, and you don't know how to put it, but you're not as satisfied as you used to be. You're not at home as you used to be within your life. Something's happening, and if you understand your life as a journey, you can say a journey's coming to an end. Something's in the wind here. It's coming to an end. And of course, there is the journey between journeys, sort of kind of in limbo. Where do we go from here? Good grief. And that's over. What's beginning? I don't know. And that in itself is a little journey when you're kind of in limbo and you don't really know what's happening next. They're frightening journeys because you don't know which way is up. And some journeys we have end in celebration. You know what those are like. I am so thankful that's over. Oh my goodness, I never want to go back there again. And I'm so thankful that one's over. And others can end with great sadness. You would actually pay money if you could go live that journey all over again, because that was an amazing journey. And man, why did that ever have to end? But it did. And it's with heart-rending you say goodbye to that journey and the persons that it involved. Now, starting a new journey, think about that, can be both exciting, but oftentimes it can be very fearful because you're going where you haven't been before. You are tapping into potential that you aren't honestly sure that you've got. That's all about being on a journey. Now, think about the word journey. I feel the word journey. It means you're going somewhere. You're not going for a stroll. You're not going for a walk. You're on a journey. You are headed someplace. A journey means you've got a goal. You've got a reason. There's meaning. There's purpose. You're not wandering. There is a destination, but honestly, it isn't the destination that matters. But you're going somewhere. A gypsy will wander. Life to them is around the next bend, whatever that holds. Life is the next curiosity, if you will. They bounce from one thing to another with no reason for being there any more than there was reason for them being where they were before. It's just a wanderer. They just wander through life. But that's not what we mean here by journey. A journey means there's a purpose. I'm not just drifting. There's a meaning to life. There's a purpose. There's a passion. There's a reason here. Now, hear me very carefully. Our journey is not to get somewhere. And this has been a hard lesson for me to learn, a very hard lesson for me to learn. Our journey is not to get somewhere, but our journey is all about knowing life, knowing meaning, knowing purpose, knowing happiness in all of the events and persons of the journey. Now, does that make sense what I mean by that? I guess I could put it this way. My journey in life is not sitting or thinking to get somewhere. My journey in life is in this present moment, in this now moment, with the people that are now interacting with me on this journey, to know myself and to know them as I've never known myself or them before. It is embracing my now moment. I was thinking about this coming home the other day, and I live in Austin, Texas, as I've mentioned several times before, And there's a couple of places that I go that are really high and elevated, the roads. And the other day we had some very strong winds that were trying to push me off the road. And I had to really focus on where I was heading and what I was doing, because there were all these obstacles that were trying to push me in the opposite direction from where I was trying to head. And I think so much of this is how our life is as a journey. We are going somewhere, but if we're not careful, there are all these obstacles, there are all these pressures that are constantly trying to push us in different directions, to get us too focused on tomorrow or on yesterday, or get us too focused on anything but this now moment. And they present obstacles in our pathway. It's much like a construction or an accident. A few months ago, I was in San Antonio visiting someone for their birthday party, and I was coming back home, and I don't know what on earth they were thinking about, but they had this construction. I was trying to get back on the interstate, so I was following the directions, but then all of a sudden they quit giving me directions. So I ended up on the opposite side of the highway, and I could not get on the interstate. So I thought, well, hey, I'll just head back in the opposite direction. Well, they had that one blocked off, and it literally took me 30 minutes before I was able to get back on the interstate. I actually had to head back in the opposite direction to head back into the city to take the next exit so I could turn around and get back on the interstate, because there was just no way of getting on there. And seeing your life as a journey, many times instead of the destination, we can fight against these types of obstacles that can come into our lives. So you have planned maybe your first things that we've talked about, and then your boss plops down a next day assignment on your desk. They've put these obstacles, they put this big construction in your pathway, and it can derail us many times. We can lose that now moment because we have so much set in our minds that it has to be some certain way. For a perfectionist, for instance, they must arrive home by 5:17 p.m. or they are upset the entire evening and they've missed out on the adventure on the way home. So we can get into these traps where we're thinking we're living in the now moment, but we're not embracing the now moment because we are too locked in on the destination part of it. On this future part of it, we haven't realized that there are all these things that are constantly trying to pull us away from living in the now moment. It isn't that the destination doesn't ultimately matter. It does. As you know, the case, if you have any Apple products, you might remember, and maybe still a little bit to this day, how they had a really goof up on their Apple Maps. And I've experienced that before. I've used it and ended up not in the place I wanted to be. In fact, I took a trip many months ago to Disney down in Orlando. I was trying to get to downtown Disney, and I was using that map program, and I ended up in the most crazy place, actually in the complete opposite direction of where I needed to be headed. So I'm not saying that the destination doesn't matter. Knowing where you are heading is actually good, but you need to understand that that is not where the happiness is. We function best when we find our meaning in the process, not the product. I read the story not too long ago about a very famous athlete whose whole goal was winning the Super Bowl. And that was his passion in life. That was his purpose. That's what he lived for. And he finally won it. And then the very next day, he admitted, he's like, what was I thinking? That this was it? Is this all there is to it? It seems like such a letdown. He had lived his life as a destination. If I could only get this, then I will be happy. And so many of us have this equation in our heads that happiness equals 100% destination. It's the destination that matters. And once we get that destination, once we get that job, or once we get a 5 or 6 figure income, or once I get this particular spouse, or I'm in this shape, or I've written a book, or I've put out a music album, or whatever the case is, then I will be happy. I will have arrived at my destination. Fact is, I can tell you honestly, you are not. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Some of us may even have a more progressive equation in our head and say, oh, okay, well, happiness is 80% destination and 20% journey. So I will give you, okay, yes, there is some happiness along the pathway. Yes, along the pathway, there's some things that happen, and maybe it will account for 20% of it, but the destination is still everything. And it isn't. I just noticed in my life, the people that I have counseled, the people that I have coached, it isn't that way. And to me, the happiness equation, if I'm going to give you one, would be this. It's 80% journey and 20% destination. So yes, destination is in there. It matters where you're going. But if you really embrace your life as a journey, you may realize on that pathway that the destination you thought you wanted isn't the destination that you want. And it changes. It can change. But yes, it's there. I believe it's there for most people. But I think if you can see your happiness, the majority of your happiness coming from the journey, from the pathway, 80% of it coming from there, you will find the biggest part of happiness. You will start seeing an adventure in life, much like Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit, who argued against having an adventure, wanting this uniformity in his life, same old, and then realizing that the adventure was actually going out and doing something. If we become too locked into a destination mindset, we won't be able to course correct. For it's during our day, our week, our month, we will be presented with new adventures. Some of these, quite honestly, we won't want to take. We want to continue on the path we're on, but others we will want to take if we just have eyes ready to see. This is where my going home analogy will break down, because it's unlikely that you decide on your way home that you will instead go to the airport and fly out to Hawaii. Now, you may, but I doubt it. You're probably going to go home, and there are all these obstacles that are trying to push you in opposite directions like the wind. But in life, this does happen, and it can happen. And the journey you are on this morning is not the journey we are on this afternoon. It's a new adventure. There is a greeting shared among the Zulu people in South Africa that I've always loved, and I think it helps to see your life from a different perspective. The greeting is basically in two parts. One is known as the Sekona, if I'm pronouncing that right, which basically means I am here to be seen. That's basically what they say to someone, which sounds very odd maybe in the Western culture. Someone stands up and says, instead of saying hello, they stand up and say, I am here to be seen. And then the other part that is said is Sawubona, if I'm saying that right, which basically says, I see you. So someone says, I am here to be seen, and then another person looks at them in the eye and says, I see you. And maybe you should try that sometime to someone. Go up to them and say, I am here to be seen. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to give you strange looks. Or maybe instead of saying hello, tell somebody, I see you. Imagine greeting your life that way. Now, the reason why I think that's cool is because I imagine greeting my life that way. My family, my colleagues, my friends, with the conscious intention to see them. Can you feel the power of that greeting? Think what effect it would have to greet everyone you know with this conscious intention. Because first it begins with two people really looking each other in the eyes, and that's powerful by itself. It's a depth of connection that is established without any words. Eye contact in many cultures is akin to soul contact, this sense of oneness. But the Zulu people are basically saying to this person, when they say, I am here to be seen, it invokes that person's presence. It's saying, I am here in full intention of inhabiting this moment. I am here to be seen. It's saying, I am committing my consciousness to this situation. It signals a willingness to engage, basically. It emphasizes, I don't wear a mask. I'm not editing. I have no defenses. This is the real me, and I will speak the truth. I will be honest with you. There's no deception. And the response that they get back, I see you, is a powerful expression of the person who says it and the person who hears it. Because basically in this Zulu tradition, to hear you say, I see you, is an affirmation that they exist. It's a releasing of any preconceptions, judgments of seeing them. They see them as an equal, that they have the person's respect. Many people say this is the most moving part of the greeting. It strengthens their resolve to be authentic, visible in life. The whole philosophy of the Zulu tribe is what they call Ubuntu, if I'm saying that right too. I don't speak their language, so if anybody does, I apologize for me grossly mispronouncing some of these things. But Ubuntu basically means humanity toward all. It's their basic ethic of life, which advocates mutual respect for everybody, bringing each other into existence, which I love that way of saying. By saying, I see you, I'm saying I'm bringing you into my circle of existence. I respect you. I recognize your value. And I am participating fully in this moment of time. To be successful in life and work and relationships, you have to do one thing first. You have to show up. You have to be there. You have to be present. You have to be willing to show the world who you are and what you believe in. And you have to keep showing that in spite of setbacks, in spite of heartbreaks. The temptation to basically edit yourself, to hide, will only leave you feeling dead inside. And so I love this philosophy when it comes to seeing your life as a journey, that you approach your life and your life comes to you. And your life comes to you saying, I am here to be seen. And our response to this, the ability to live in the now moment, is that we look at our life, we look at our journey, we look at the people in front of us, the situations in front of us, and we say, I see you. I see you, and I embrace what's going on. Now, even if that embracement could mean change, it means that we have this passion to see things differently, but we embrace the now moment. And often we don't. Often we're saying, what on earth is happening to me? What's the reason behind this? Why? Why is this going on? And I'll tell you why. That in the pressure you're in all the events of this journey, whatever it holds for you, you're going to become, by your choice, more exposed to your passions, your creativity, more exposed to those currently on your journey. And so this puts a whole new spin on this, because I'm not rushing to get to the end of the journey, but rather in this now moment, in this step of the journey, that I might know happiness, contentment, passion, creativity, that I might be known by those around me. And this can be very unsettling, very unsettling. I mean, to a Westerner, not just a Westerner for goodness sake, but an American Westerner in the 21st century, to say that this is the focus of life. I mean, we live by planners and date books and day timers. We live by schedules and goals. We go to seminars, for goodness sake, to learn how to get there. And now I'm saying that the meaning of the journeys of life is not to get there, but to be here. And that's new. I mean, ever since you were a baby, what have you been saying? Are we there yet? I've had kids, and that's what they say in cars. Are we there yet? How much longer? Are we there yet? Where are we going? Why aren't we there yet? It's like the whole reason for getting in the car is to get somewhere very fast, in a hurry. Where are we going? Where are we going? And you haven't changed. We haven't changed. You may be 50 years old, and you're still saying it. Where are we going? Are we there yet? Where are we going? And I'm saying that the meaning of your life is not to get somewhere, but to be, and to know passion, creativity, happiness in the now moment. And in this event, this series of people in your life, what they are doing to you and to be to you will expose you to a greater awareness of your potential. You will be seen, as in the Zulu tradition. And I say it again, this can be very unsettling. I want to know what's going to happen, because really and truly what's going to happen is of little importance. The importance is what is happening right now. That you, in this moment, in this throbbing moment of time, which is really all there is, because at this point, tomorrow's a dream, yesterday's gone, the only thing you've got is right now. And I say in this now moment, on this journey, the whole point of it is that you know your potential, your passion, become intimately acquainted with yourself and those around you, and in the process, let new areas of life be exposed. But you see, to us, I think it's us, certainly my life would say it, I find the present moment so boring. It's so ordinary. It's so mundane. I'm looking for something earth-shattering. I'm thinking happiness and purpose and passion means I'm going to change the world. But to find my passion in my day-to-day work, to find my creativity as I clean out the fridge, to find my potential in writing a book as someone that no one even knows me by name? Yes. Yes. It's not some fantastic thing in the future. It's now at this moment. That's the point. The ordinary, the little encounters, the little brush-ups against other people. This is where we know ourselves. And I think you can go back to many successful people. I believe this was true of the author of all the Harry Potter stories, that she basically said this, that to her, the greatest joy was the beginning of that. And at the end, she had all these expectations, all these pressures, and the fun was actually in the journey, not the destination. It's in the now. But no, I don't want the now. I want to get on with the thing. And we're really terrible at this. I mean, do we ever do anything? I mean, really do it. I get out of bed, but do I really get out of bed? Do I luxuriate in the experience of getting out of bed? No, I don't. I get out of bed so I can hop into the shower. But do I really enjoy the shower? No, I merely take a shower so I can get to breakfast. But do I really enjoy breakfast? No, I rush through my breakfast so I can get to work. And I rush through my work to get to coffee. And then I rush through my coffee to get back to work, to get to lunch, to get home, to go to bed, to get up, to go to work, to take a shower. Do you see what I'm basically saying? We are forever doing something to get somewhere. Will you stop and enjoy something for a period of time, to see your day to day now as an adventure? You're not going. You're not doing. You're being. In this moment, that I luxuriate in knowing myself and those around me. In this moment, I revel in the fact that in this experience of the office, this experience in the factory, in the school, in the home, in this experience with the mundane, ordinary people just like me, that I come to know my passion and my potential there. Nobody really takes vacations anymore. About a year ago, I think I took a vacation up to New York. And one of the things we did was we hopped on one of those tourist buses. And I grew really discontented with that after a while because we were just blazing through things. And did I really know in that moment some of the things that we were looking at? No, I saw it for 10 seconds and then we were gone to something else. We were just blazing through life. We weren't savoring the moment. And I was thankful that when we got to ground zero, that they actually stopped and said, okay, you guys can get out and walk for 30 minutes. And that was much, much more meaningful because I got to walk among it and embrace that moment to really know everything that was around me and to imagine back, earlier during that periods of time. And we rush through life. I think so many times we do this. We do this with vacations. We don't just luxuriate in the moment. We don't make ourselves a part of what we're doing. We rush through it. And we rush through life, never savoring the moment, never realizing what this experience has done to expose me to my potential. We never stop to use an old phrase, smell the roses. We're too busy getting to the next things. Or we want tour guides. We want somebody to tell me everything. We're like Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit, wanting the adventure to go away so we can just simply exist. But I'm saying in all of your journeys, in your journey, this is where you know your potential. This is where you're going to know your happiness. But it's your journey. It's yours. Accept it. You can't refuse this journey like a package from the UPS, whether you like it or not. And many times we don't like it. We can resist our journey many times. We can sulk. We can pout. We can be unhappy and hope that it'll just go away, but often it doesn't. And it isn't that you always have to like journeys that you're on, but this is the arena to know your potential. Let me say that again, because it's so important for me. I'm speaking this to myself as well. Your journey right now, even if it's a journey that you don't like, this is the arena by which you know your potential. So let's say you're on a job that you don't like. I'm not saying that you should work at your job forever, but if you're not happy with your job, this can be the arena to know something different. Maybe you do something radically different and quit your job and go do something else. But if you do that, it's because in the arena of your old job, you saw new potential. And it could be that you stay at your old job and see new potential and passion. I'm not giving you a formula. I'm just saying that the arena to know your life, you know your potential is found in your current journey. This is the arena to discover your happiness. This is your journey. We want to escape and we want to find something, TV, shopping, drugs, alcohol. We don't want this journey. We want out of here, but it is your journey. Or we can idealize the last journey, that it isn't like it used to be if I could only go back. But we idealize selectively. We forget all the bad things that went along with that last journey. But the fact is, you aren't back there. You are here. If you brought the past here, you would feel the agony of that. The meaning of life is now, this moment in time, not wishing for the future, nor memories of the past. It's embracing the now with passion and intention. And some journeys, quite honestly, begin by acts of stupidity or selfishness or mistakes. I mean, have you ever noticed that? I noticed that in my life. If it's not your mistake, then maybe someone else's and you got caught in the crossfire. And I equate this very much with missing a flight. If you missed a flight and maybe it's because you slept in, you missed it because of your own stupidity. But guess what? There are many other ways to get to your destination. There's a lot of different routes, different planes. You'll be sitting next to different people, but you'll still arrive at the same location. You are on a journey and only you know what that is. You know how it began. You have possibly no knowledge of when it will end, but that's really none of your business anyway. Your job is to go out in that journey and to realize your happiness and to realize your potential and realize your passion. So let me tell you about 7 action steps really quick to how you can put some of this into action in your life, how you can start seeing your life as a journey. Well, first of all, number 1, don't start your day with broken pieces of yesterday. Every day we wake up is the first day of the rest of our life. I actually saw this quote not too long ago, and that's the first time I've ever heard that quote. Every day that we wake up is the first day of the rest of our life. I mean, that's true. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Now, what are you going to do with that? And if your past has been a bunch of mistakes and your journey now is a result of that, well, guess what? Today is a new day. So don't start your day, especially if you've had mistakes, with broken pieces of yesterday. Put it behind. Today is a new journey, and there's new potential, there's new passion in front of you. Number 2, quit thinking about it so much. Quit thinking about life so much. And this is kind of a paradox, if you will, of living in the moment. If you think too hard about what you're doing, it'll actually make things worse. And if you're in a situation that makes you anxious, like giving a speech, introducing yourself to a stranger, learning how to dance, focusing on your anxiety actually tends to heighten it quite a bit. You have to learn to not think so much. There's a quote in The Legend of Bagger Vance, which I played, I believe, in the last episode, where the caddy basically says, the secret of life is learning to not think without falling asleep. And I think a lot about that sometimes we can do harm in our own lives by thinking too much about things. And in this case, living in the now moment, I think there's things that you can do, and we're going to cover these next. But at the same time, I think keep this in balance. The stuff I'm about to tell you, keep it in balance, because sometimes we can just think too much about it, and we just need to let go and relax. Number 3, eat your raisins. There was a University of Georgia experiment where they had people put into situations where they might blast a person with noise out of meanness. And they split these subjects up and basically had them either basically rejected from being in a group. And none of us like rejection. And the whole point was they were trying to see how people would react if they were rejected from a group and how that would play on their self-worth. And basically they gave them a chance to blast people with noise, like with one of those air horns. But what they did was they had subjects go through first. Some subjects went through as is. Other subjects ate some raisins. But the instructions that they gave to them was that they would eat these raisins very intentionally, that they would eat it slowly, that they would savor it. They would think about the texture. They would focus on their sensation of eating it. They may even write it down. And what they show was very interesting. Again, we want to be careful about causal claims with this, but the people that ate the raisins were least likely to be resentful and blast people with these air horns compared to the other people that didn't do this and were rejected from being a part of a group. And I find this fascinating, that the people that stopped occasionally to savor life were the least upset about things that happened to them. They were least upset by rejection. And what I would encourage you to do, and I've said this many times before, is to make your life an experiment. Pick something this week, like eating a pastry or taking a shower or basking in the sun, listening to music, and just stop and just be in that moment. I did this last week. I was sitting outside and the wind was blowing really nicely. It was very cool outside. And I thought, I would get up and come in and start doing work. But I said, no, wait a minute, I'm not going to do that. And I sat outside, closed my eyes, and just breathed and just luxuriated in feeling the wind blow against me. I was just one with it. And this isn't any kind of new age, hocus pocus type of thing that I'm talking about here. I'm just talking about that I decided to I was experiencing a mini journey in that point where I was feeling this amazing wind blow against me. And so many times I would just, pardon the pun, but blow it off and just go inside and start doing all this work. But I just relaxed and just embraced that now moment, that gift that was in front of me of wind, as strange as that may sound. And some of you could easily do that with taking a shower this week. I'm not talking about anything kind of goofy here, but literally take a shower and just enjoy the sensation of a shower and luxuriate in that. That's something every one of you could do to embrace that now moment. So I would suggest choosing one thing this week and luxuriate in it and do it slowly. For example, try actually taking 15 minutes one day this week to eat your lunch. And don't stuff it down in 2 minutes, but eat slowly for 15 minutes. If you have to, time yourself. Take a bite every 2 minutes. And when you take a bite, just close your eyes and just experience chewing the food and tasting every little bit of it. There was another study in the University of California when subjects in the study basically took a few minutes each day to actively savor something that they usually hurry through, like eating a meal, drinking a cup of tea, walking to the bus. They began experiencing more joy, happiness, more positive emotions, fewer depressive symptoms. So my advice to you is eat your raisins and eat them slowly. Now, of course, if you have a flare-up with your significant other, it's rarely practical that you're going to slip out and go savor a raisin at that moment. But this is a simple exercise that you can do anywhere to induce more mindfulness. A very simple one is just breathe. And as it turns out, there's really no better way to bring yourself into the present moment than to focus on your breathing. And many times I'll do this as well. If I'm having a rough day, I'll go outside and just close my eyes and just breathe deeply for just a few minutes and concentrate on that sensation of just breathing and it puts you in an awareness of the now moment. You basically propel yourself very powerfully into the present moment. And again, I'm not talking necessarily about meditation. If that works for you, then go for it. I'm not talking about anything in particular. I'm just saying that these are tools that we have available that can make us very aware of the now moment. And whether that's eating a pastry or taking a shower or just simply breathing or eating a raisin, you can learn through simple things to embrace that now moment. Number 4, for one day, lose your watch and your phone. Perhaps the most complete way of living in the moment is the state of total absorption. Flow basically occurs when you're so engrossed in a task, and I'm sure you've experienced this before. You were so engrossed in a task, you totally lost track of time, totally lost track of everything else around you. This is the essence of embracing the now moment, that you're outside of time, that time has no meaning. The same thing with romance or sleep. You just can't get enough of it, and you just love it, and time basically disappears before you. And we'll talk about this more probably in the next episode. But many times the way you can do that is simply to get away from a clock. And so many of us are tied to a watch, or especially now a smartphone, that we know exactly what the time is, and it's the exact time that anyone in the world is going to have because we're all synchronized with our phones. And the best way you can get into the now moment, the best way you can really know your journey now is sometimes to lose things like technology, to lose it for a period of time, to lose it for a day, and to focus on the now moment. Number 5, know that you don't know. Now, I'm sure you probably have had the experience where you've been driving along a highway and realize that you have no memory or awareness of the previous 15 minutes that you were driving. You maybe even missed your exit. You just zoned out. You were somewhere else, and it's suddenly as if you've woken up at the wheel, or maybe it happens that you were reading a book, and I know I just read that page, but I have no idea what it just said. These are basically autopilot moments that can help us, actually. Times when you're so lost in your thoughts that you aren't even aware of the present experience. And as a result, life passes you by without it even registering on you. And the best way to avoid such blockouts is to develop the habit of always noticing new things in whatever situation you're in. The process creates basically engagement with the present moment, releases all sorts of benefits. Knowing new things puts you in the here and now. Otherwise, we can become mindless because once we think we know something, we stop paying attention to it. We go about our morning commute basically in a haze because we've trod the same route 100 times before. But if we see the world with fresh eyes, we realize almost everything is different each time. The pattern of light on the buildings, the faces on the people, even the sensations and feelings that we experience along the way. Noticing puts us in a fresh new moment of time. It begins what I call a beginner's mind. So start acquiring a habit of noticing new things. Recognize the world around you. We really don't know how the espresso is going to taste or how the commute will be. At least we're not sure about it. And this is true of orchestra musicians who are instructed to make their performance new in subtle ways, and they actually end up enjoying themselves more. Audiences actually prefer those performances. When they're there in the moment, they're making it new. It's leaving an imprint in the music that they play, the things that they write. It's doing it in a new way. Once you recognize that you don't know the things you've always taken for granted, you set out the house quite differently. It becomes an adventure in noticing. And the more you notice, the more you see. There's more excitement you feel. So, for instance, maybe on your work today, make it a goal to notice one new thing, something you've never noticed before, and be on the lookout for it. Do that in all of your life. Know something new. Number 6, make your success measures smaller. Living a consistently mindful life does take some effort, but it can be quite easy. People set the goal of being mindful, of embracing the journey of life, living in the now moment for, let's say, the next 20 minutes or the next 2 weeks. This is their yardstick. This is their measurement. Okay, I'm going to be successful if I can be in the now moment for the next 2 weeks, or I can be in the now moment for the next 20 minutes. But I believe the correct measurement, the correct yardstick is just this moment in time. It's not the next 20 minutes. It's this minute. That's your yardstick. You can become mindful at any moment just by paying attention to the immediate experience, your journey right now. You can do it right now. What's happening in this instant? You are a witness to your life. Now observe it. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What is part of your journey right now? And so instead of setting some milestone of, I want to embrace my journey, I want to embrace the now moment, for the next 20 minutes. No, just embrace the now moment. And finally, number 7, schedule your playtime. We can't wait to have time for play. Sometimes we have to build it into our schedules. And this may sound a little bit self-defeating because isn't play supposed to be about spontaneity? But I know if I have a hectic day of work ahead of me, I will set aside even a half an hour for something playful. A walk at night, playing my guitar, doing something that brings me joy and pleasures. If I take my daughter to one of her activities, I turn the waiting time into fun time. It's all in what you make of it, so make it good and make it fun. You schedule your work, you schedule your activities, you schedule your to-do list, but if you find you have no fun time, you have no downtime, you have nothing to recreate yourself, recreation, but what are you doing about it? Maybe you need to schedule your fun time. And while I do believe that spontaneity is the goal, if you find that you never have time for fun, maybe it's time to start scheduling it. So in your journey, in where you're at, embrace it and know your potential, know your passions in this, but make time for yourself as well. Well, that wraps up this episode on seeing your life as a journey, embracing the now moment. And I hope it's been beneficial to you. I hope some of the things that we talked about today maybe make you think of your life a little bit differently, to see that life is really not about the destination, although that does matter some. It's more about embracing the now moment, about seeing your potential and your passion in your current journey. If any of this has resonated with you, let me know. Tweet me if you're following me on Twitter. Send me something on Facebook. Leave me a comment on my website, which is at firstthingsproductivity.com/16, where I have a discussion area set up. Leave me a voicemail. Let me hear from you. Let me know what things resonated with you today. And as always, please consider leaving me a rating or comment on iTunes, which just greatly help me get the word out and let other people know more about the show. So until next time, remember this. Refuse to end your dreams and visions and potential with a period. End them with a comma. Your greatest song, your greatest book, your greatest achievement, your greatest potential is still ahead of you. It's in your current journey, and your current journey is moving you in that direction, but never end your life with a period. Your greatest thing is always ahead of you. So embrace today with passion and intention, and don't die with your music still inside you.